As we have Luna Outlaw coming out here first. The women's champion. Now getting the title over Ariel at the RCW Freefall pay-per-view in Toronto. Now, it was very surprising to me that she did not use the Code Blue knee strike to defeat Ariel. However, she did use it in that match against her, but she didn't use it as the final nail in the coffin, if you will. But it would have been very poetic if she were to use that as the reason why she shaved the heartbeat monitor in her head there, as you can see as she's walking up here, is simply because she wanted to show Ariel, just because you beat me for that title in a cash-in, my heart still beats still, despite you hitting me with the Code Blue knee strike. So, you know, a lot of symbolism there. We have Whitney White coming out here. Member of the NWO Wrestling, managed by Deftest Violator, one of my good friends. Now, it'll be interesting to see how Whitney White and Luna Outlaw are here together as a tag team. Is this the first time they will be tag teaming together? However, like I've mentioned, they've watched over each other in matches. You know, Whitney has been at ringside for Luna, just as much as Luna has been at ringside for Whitney. So we will see how this turns out here. As Whitney White gets ready, as we get their opponents here. And the first opponent will be Chris Statlander, the Galaxy's greatest alien, Chris Statlander. Now Chris Statlander picking up a victory over her tag team partner tonight, Toni Storm. Like I said, it will be interesting to see if these two women will be able to coexist for the sake of getting the win. Because every win matters. Even though that we don't have women's tag belts anymore, that doesn't mean that this match is any less significant. We have Toni Storm coming out here now. Like I mentioned, just because we don't have the tag team women's belts anymore, the women's tag team belts anymore, doesn't make this match any less significant. For any of these women, whoever comes out with the pin tonight, you know, there's momentum that they can gain from that. Now, if either of these women, Chris Statlander or Toni Storm, are able to pin the champion in Luna Outlaw here, that would be huge momentum for them going forward. Well, like I mentioned, are these two women going to be able to coexist? As we'll be able to get this match underway in a few moments, and it appears that Chris Statlander is going to start off this match here against Luna as we get this underway. And a spear to Chris Statlander to start this one off here. Now the much bigger, more powerful Chris Statlander here, but Luna's got the quickness though. So her quickness and agility may be able to counteract the power of Chris Statlander. As the Irish whip to the corner, and now she's already tagging in her partner Whitney White here. Drop toe hold into an elbow drop here on the Chris Statlander. And now Whitney White is in the match now. Irish whip to her corner now. Oh, but a kick right to the face of Chris Statlander turns it around, and a headbutt to the back of the head. And oh my God, just tossing Chris Statlander. Tony's asking for the tag. Maybe Chris doesn't realize. Oh, but a knee lift from Chris, and now she's able to tag in Toni Storm. Again, it makes me wonder if these two can coexist. And so far, earlier on, it seems like they can. It seems like to be no problem. But I wonder if, as this match goes on, if that's going to change. As Toni Storm launches herself with the hip attack there into the corner. Now a couple of stomps here as Toni Storm lifts up Whitney. Oh, a slap to the face of Crazy Whitney there. I don't know if that's such a good idea. And a suplex there. To Whitney, and a leg drop there from Toni Storm. As Toni Storm now tries to pump herself up, get herself ready here in this match. Now has this leg lock. Locked in there. Whitney gets out of that. Now Whitney, oh, what a right hand to Toni Storm there. Another Irish whip to the corner as Whitney runs in, and a splash in the corner there. Takes out Toni Storm. Luna able to get out of dodge real quick there. Now able to tag in. One of these nice tags here. Again, this is the first time we are seeing all four of these women team up together. But these frequent tags from Whitney and Luna definitely, you know, make me think that they're more in sync than Toni Storm and Chris are. As Luna gets back in the ring and, oh, grabbing the hair of Toni Storm and just tossing her to the other side of the ring there. But a reversal and an uppercut there. And now an elbow right to the champion. Now an Irish whip and a hip attack in the corner to Luna now. She has yet to tag in Chris. As Chris started out this match. But I don't know if Toni is just looking at Chris and being like, I have something to prove that I can beat you, potentially. Because Chris had beat Toni Storm in that match last episode, so there could be some type of animosity here. There's a reversal from Luna. Luna tried for the kick, but no. Toni Storm now, second rope. Toni Storm, my God, what a suplex. Turning that around, I thought it might have been a DDT, possibly a second rope tilt-a-whirl DDT, but no, and a German suplex to the champion, and Luna finds herself in trouble. As Toni looked for the Storm Zero there, but to no avail, and a couple of knees right to the midsection. Now looking to hook the Dawning into here. The Dawning into Toni Storm. Able to hit it here. Now looking to get the pin. Looking to get the win for her team here. 1, 2. And Chris Statlander barely missed that. She barely missed that pin breakup. But I guess Toni Storm was able to kick out at 2. Now taking out Chris Statlander off of the apron. And now Whitney doesn't want to make the tag for whatever reason. Now we're seeing both tag teams kind of being a little bit of a spat here. As again, Chris is on the apron now. Drop kick to Chris, and now Chris again goes down. And a drop kick to Toni Storm, a kick there right to the face, and now Whitney White gets tagged in as Toni Storm trying to make the tag over to Chris, and Toni Storm in a heap of trouble here. She needs to make a tag to Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander hasn't been in this match since the beginning of this matchup here. So this is definitely bad for Toni as she gets launched in the corner back first. But Toni Storm with a kick. Whitney able to move back into a body slam there. Now, Whitney White with a mandible claw, but a rope break saves Toni Storm. And possibly looking now for the Twisted Whitney. The Twisted Whitney here on Toni Storm. Right into the pin. And Kris Statlander able to break that one up. And now Luna, though, Irish whips Kris Statlander out to the outside. What great tag team work we are seeing here. But that allows Toni Storm to come back here in this match. As a Hurricane Rana sends her down. Now Toni Storm is feeling it. Toni Storm feeling it right now. Toni Storm with a kick to the back of the leg there. Of Whitney. And now for the first time in this match, Toni Storm has Whitney right where she wants her as she launches her into that German suplex. Now look at this turnaround here. It's a knee right to the face of Whitney. Now into a crossface here. As Whitney's able to easily break out of that one. Now an Irish whip to the corner, possibly trying to tag in Luna here. Tried to tag in Luna, but Toni fired back. Toni fired back though, but couldn't take advantage of it. As Whitney fired up the clothesline. And again, an Irish whip into the corner. Let's see if they can get a tag this time. And they will. But now Toni lifting up the champion here and then suplex to the champion. Toni is still fighting, but Kris Statlander is really yet to really do much in this match, as she hasn't, like I said, hasn't been in this match since the very beginning. And a backbreaker there to the champion. And now Toni Storm has her right where she wants her here. Irish whip into the corner. Turns her around now. And a huge stomp. And now Toni with the hip attack in the corner. But Toni is tiring herself out here. She's got 2 Storm Zeros in her back pocket. But oh, what a move off of the knee. And Toni Storm able to get the pin over the champion here. Just like that, Kris Statlander saved that match. She saved that match up there. Kris Statlander was barely in this match, but if it weren't for Kris breaking up, stopping Whitney from breaking up that pin, Toni Storm may have not have gotten that victory there. So I don't know. I guess give credit to Kris Statlander there as Toni Storm maybe next in line now for a title shot against Luna as we move on to our next match here as we go over to the break screen. As we have Zero now taking on Darby Allin, the RCW Carnage champion. Now Zero has taken some time away yet again. But when he came back, Zero turned over a new leaf. Who would you say had the worst looking finisher? Currently, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I don't like anybody who just kind of uses a DDT as a finisher. I mean, I do like Jon Moxley's Paradigm Shift. I can't pinpoint who has the worst looking finisher, but I feel like a DDT is one of those finishers that, or one of those moves rather, that is just overly used. And a lot of people just don't have a way of making a move unique. Like, there are certain ways where you can take something like a DDT or something that is generic and make it at least unique and not look the same like everything else. And to me it's one of the things that I'm not saying that a wrestler can't be entertaining if they have the same finisher. Yeah, Jake the Snake, the DDT isn't really fun to watch anymore. But I would say the one finisher that needs to be, like, at least for this person's moveset is Bayley's Bayley to belly, because, like, it's not really that exciting. I mean, it's just a belly to belly suplex. Her other finisher, the Rose Plant Face Driver, which is the finisher that she used on her indie days as Davina Rose, her other wrestling name, I like that finisher. That's because I followed Bayley before she was Bayley. So, but I've been a fan of her since, like, NXT, but even on her indie days, I liked her. But, that finisher just seems like, ugh. Like, I don't know. It's because it's so basic to where it just doesn't... Yes, she still does do the belly to belly with her new gimmick. She still does it. Not as much, but she still does it. I think she does it as, like, a signature now versus a finisher. Like, she doesn't really do the elbow drop anymore. But she'll use the Bayley to belly as a signature over a finisher, and then she'll line them up for the Rose Plant, the face plant driver thing. But I think that finisher, that Bayley to belly or whatever, I think she should just change that and move it to something else. Because the whole point of having a new gimmick, like, I'm not saying when you get a new gimmick you need to have, like, a new finisher, new everything. But even when Bayley was the hugger, I didn't like that finisher, simply because everybody uses it, a belly-to-belly suplex is a basic move. So why is it, like, turned into a finisher? It's the same way, like, a DDT is. It's like, yeah, I have the jailbreak DDT where Brian dives off of the top rope, but, that's different than him just doing a DDT, you know what I mean? Like, he's not just doing a DDT, he's jumping off of the top rope, launching himself into a DDT. But that's, to me, when wrestlers use, like, a basic wrestling move that everybody does as a finisher, to me, it makes the actual move just not important anymore. It's like, oh, really? You're using a DDT? Or, oh, really? You're using this now? Like, just because you put it as a finisher doesn't make it any more cooler, if you know what I mean. So, I, for one, love the Bayley heel gimmick. I wanted that for her. I wanted her to be bad, because I got sick of the... Yeah! It does represent her as a hugger, because, because she's hugging the person. I never thought about that, but let's be honest here. Who would deny a hug from that? I know I wouldn't. Now she says you have to pay her $20 to hug her because it's part of her gimmick. Like, pay $20. I actually, when I went to SmackDown, I brought $40 with me just for the hell of it. Because I was like, all right, if we get close enough for Bayley to hug us, let's give her $20 just so that she hugs us. Like, I did that just for shits and giggles, but yeah, that, in my opinion, that's one of the most, like, lackluster finishers that I just never understood. Like, I guess it does fit her gimmick, but just because it fits her gimmick doesn't mean that. Just because something works, like, or looks good, doesn't mean you should use it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you really gotta... And that's the problem, is, like, there's no uniqueness anymore. because WWE doesn't allow them to really do that. You know, and that's the problem with wrestling, is that you don't have, you know, these unique characters, these really good storytelling that much anymore, and it just makes for lackluster. Like, I'll still watch it, but I'll keep thinking in my head, like, man, this person could be used so much better, or this person could, you know what I mean? Because I don't want every person to be a star, but, you know, because that's impossible. But me as a person, I feel like if I was in the WWE as a performer, whether a wrestler or manager or a talent, and I felt like I wasn't being used properly, or I felt like I couldn't, you know, do the Brian Outlaw character the way I wanted to, I would be like, I'm not having as much fun, you know, and that's a common theme that I see with a lot of wrestlers, is that, you know, they don't have as much fun as that they could be having. And I think that's why I love the Bayley heel gimmick, because she's having so much fun doing it, because she wanted it to happen. Regardless of how cheesy some people think it is. Like, I always say, it doesn't matter if something is cheesy. Like, the whole ding-dong thing, if that thing works, then go with it. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. If it works and the crowd hates you for it and the crowd thinks you're annoying, then do it. Like, you know, it's like with Chris Jericho's list thing. The stupidest thing, but it worked. And it even works in AEW because he brought it back. And people still know it, you know, and the whole thing. And that's the thing, is if you're good enough as a talent to make something stupid work, then that just shows how talented you are. If you're able to take something that is childish and cheesy and make it work, it just shows it just furthers your talent. It just shows how talented you are. So that's what I think about it. But as we move on to our next match here, Zero versus Darby Allin. Now, like I mentioned, Zero turned over a new leaf after defeating Cedric Alexander. So now, it's hard to really tell what he's going to do now. But he's got a big opportunity ahead of him as he takes on Darby Allin here. Well, let's be real. I actually tweeted out a tweet to refer to my whole Bayley thing. I think I tweeted out a tweet, or I may have not. I think I have it in my drafts, and I still haven't tweeted it. I would pay $20. I would do that. I would pay $20 for Bayley to hug me, because I made this joke. I said I spent more money on a necklace for my ex than I would spend on a hug for Bayley, but I still think $20 for that is 10 times more worth it than what I spent on the necklace that I got for my ex when her and I were together. So I would think that would still be worth it. It would still be 10 times more worth it than that. And that's kind of what I look for, like, regardless if something is cheesy, to refer to what I was explaining before. Like, I love a wrestler who can make, like I said, make the dumbest things work, but also I like a wrestler who looks like they're having fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how cheesy it is, and no matter people's opinions, like, the biggest issue that I have with people today, not just with wrestling fans, but people in general, is when people are having fun, or when people like something, and that type of person is shitting on it, just to be negative. And, like, to me, like, I'm the type of person that if I don't like something in wrestling, I'll, you know, bitch about it to my friends or something, but I'm not gonna go on the internet and be like, and bash the wrestler or bash whoever else, you know, because, you know, that's stupid, and that's something that I see a lot of wrestling fans do, thinking that it's gonna do anything. You know, with the whole Roman Reigns thing and him winning the Universal title, yeah, like I didn't like how it ended. I thought it did fuel his heel gimmick because he came out towards the end, but to have it end so quickly is kind of horrible. But that doesn't mean that, you know, like, I would like to see what they do with him as you know, with Paul Heyman before I, you know, crap on the whole thing. You know, and that's the thing is like when you're a wrestling fan, and this is like I said, my biggest gripe with it is that, you know, people don't learn to enjoy things for what they are anymore. You know, it's like with the people like being overly sensitive, and, you know, Ice Strike and I have talked about it before on his streams, and, you know, it's the same. And it's the same thing. Can you not? I just finished SummerSlam and don't have the time to continue after that. But, like, you know, it's like, it's like that, you know, and, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, who cares, you know, and just enjoy it for what it is, or, you know, if you don't enjoy it, shut up about it. Like, I don't care what people say behind, like, you know, behind closed doors with their buddies and whatnot, but to, like, put it on a public platform like Twitter or something like that, and to verbally trash somebody, you know, that's a whole different thing, you know. It's like, you wouldn't believe the amount of time I spend on Twitter just roasting idiots, because I find it fun. I don't know why, but I find it fun to engage in that. Because, you know, it's hilarious, because, like, I find it hilarious because because there are people out there who think that they know everything there is to know about wrestling, and, you know, they'll verbally attack a wrestler or something, and they'll just be like, oh, you know, you didn't do this, or you should have done this. It's like, well, this person that you're watching on TV has been wrestling for 10 years, and you haven't, so you have no right to say anything. You know? It's like, I'll offer, like, my feedback, and I'll be like, hey, I really like this, or, you know, it would be cool if you could bring this back. You know, but I won't, like, bash something. You know, like, publicly on a Twitter forum or something like that, because I'm not that petty, you know. But hopefully you'll join us on Saturday, on tomorrow, for AEW All Out. Again, that'll be at 7:30. I think we'll possibly start at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, depending on what Superflu wants to do. But make sure you join us for that. Is Darby Allin here? With the second rope DDT here. Me, I have a brain injury, so I wouldn't be able to compete. However, I would give anything to compete, to be honest with you. I would if I could repair, if there could be any way to repair. Asthma, I have asthma too. I could deal with that. Like, my asthma is a seasonal thing. It's not, like, bad. But I'd give anything to, you know, just be on TV. Which is why I'm actually going to wrestling school after my semester ends. I won't be training as a wrestler, but I'll be training as a manager, so, you know, I won't be taking bumps or anything like that. I'll just be learning how to talk, which is something I already know how to do. I already know how to do it effectively. Plus, I know a couple guys that work for Impact that could easily get me in contact with Scott, like, who's the owner, who's the boss of Impact, which I would love to work for them, or I would love to work for AEW. because 2 guys that I met are in AEW right now, so which is awesome for them. And that's the thing that I think I've cherished the most about wrestling, is that doing this show and everything else, all of it has given me opportunities that I never would have realized that I had if I didn't get into wrestling. You know, like starting to watch it and stuff. So pretty much wrestling has dictated every decision that I've made in my entire life. And what's funny, now that I think about it, is my buddy, who is a pro wrestler at 18 years old. He's a pro wrestler already. And he was telling me about his girlfriend that he's with. And his girlfriend was telling him to stop wrestling, to not wrestle anymore. And I was like, dude, right away, get rid of her. Get rid of her. Because you trained your ass off to be a wrestler. It's like, you don't need her. It's like, you're going to be around a bunch of girls anyway, dude. It's like you think of all the female wrestlers that are in the industry. It's like, you don't need her, dude. You can... I said, you're freaking Scott Richards, man. You're going to have everybody chanting your name soon enough. So what does that matter? You know, it's like, she's probably not good for you if she's telling you to give up what you've worked your ass off for. So, you know, I hope he doesn't be stupid. I hope he doesn't be stupid and give up everything that he's worked for. He's only 18 years old, and he's trained his ass off for months and months and months to do something that he's always wanted to do. And it's funny because I remember talking to his mom about it, and I remember saying like, how did you feel when your son said, I wanted to become a pro wrestler? You know, I said, I can imagine as a parent, you're like, what? That's ridiculous. You know, and she goes, well, I support him, whatever he wants to do. And I was like, well, that's pretty awesome. You know, because not many parents do that, you know. For a moment you said that, in my mind kept saying, if she breathes, she's the thought. Yeah, you know, for me, I don't know if I told you guys this, but for me, it's, I've sacrificed a lot. Friendships, relationships, everything. All for this. All for professional wrestling. All for, you know, wanting to get into an industry that I desperately want to get into. As Zero hits zero tolerance here on Darby Allin for the first time in this match. Count of 2 here. Let's see if Darby Allin any kicks out. But, you know, I've sacrificed a lot. And, you know, some things you just got to be willing to give up. You know, as a wrestler, you know, you have to be willing to, you know, even though I'm not a wrestler yet, I already know some of the things that wrestlers have had to give up. They've had to give up relationships. They've had to give up, you know, because being in a relationship and being on the road all the time, that's freaking difficult. Like, you know, because you have to, you know, see the person, right? And with the pandemic, it's even harder, you know. So it's like, I basically said F all of that until I get into wrestling. Like, I'm not doing nothing, like, when it comes to that area. As again, Zero hits zero tolerance again, and Darby Allin gets the kick out at 2.5 again, and Zero is livid. Zero is livid right now. As Darby Allin, you know, he's proved his worth multiple times, defending his title twice, once against Chris Danger, and once against AJ Styles, and in both of those matches, he had proved why he is deserving of being the RCW Carnage champion. Because I believe that, you know, and I may get a lot of hate for saying this, and I don't care, but I believe that doing something that you're passionate about and something that makes you happy is more important than keeping your... When did you get Chris Danger in RCW? I got him in RCW in Season 3. Thank you, Sleb, for the lurk. I appreciate you so much. There's a DDT through the table here. Season 3. Because he teamed up with the Outlaws in Season 3, then turned his back on the Outlaws, I believe it was Season 5. As Darby Allin gets back in the ring now. Darby Allin firing back on Zero now. Darby Allin looking for the sunset flip powerbomb. 1, 2. He's going to get Zero here, and Zero kicks out at 2.5 too as well. And I guess for me with wrestling, and I believe I've told you guys this before, that like you can be whatever you want to be, like in terms of like a character or whatever. And I think in society today, and that, you know, people always try to put you in this box. Like people always try to put you in this box and try to make you something that you're not, or they basically judge you for being who you are in the first place. Whereas, you know, in the world of professional wrestling, it doesn't matter who you are once you walk through that curtain. Because once you walk down that ramp, like, you're a character and you're this, and people are willing to do that. Is a cutter there from Darby Allin. And, you know, I think that's a very special thing, you know, because you're able to affect people in sort of ways with your character. As Zero kicks out again at 2.5, as Darby Allin thought he had him there. And these two going back and forth here as Darby Allin looking to get the cover again, and he makes it 0, and Zero again kicks out at 2. But I think it's that. I think it's the whole idea, like, because I feel like, and I believe that everyone has experienced this once in their life, but where they're trying to find, you know, their place in life, they're trying to find their purpose, and, you know, you get all that drama in middle school and high school of, you know, oh, you should be this, or oh, you should be this. Well, if you're not this, you're not good enough, or if you're not this, you're not good enough. Well, you know, in wrestling, like, fans love you for you, and they love you for the character that you play, you know, and the entertainment that you give them. Like, you know, the real wrestling fans, the ones that aren't bitching about everything. And I use that term a lot because it's true. You know, I use that term quite a bit because it's true and it's very factual. So... This is why I don't fit into social crowds. Join the club, buddy. As Darby Allin again kicks out. And again, Zero is wondering what the hell he's got to do to get Darby Allin to stay down. Now he's going to have to try and go for something different here, trying to lock the ankle of Darby Allin. Trying to get Darby Allin to tap out, and Darby Allin's got to tap out of everything that Darby Allin is kicked out of. It is a ankle lock, some type of ankle lock there, that finally gets Darby Allin down and taps. Tappity tap, Darby Allin is a 0. Comes back again with a vengeance, a 0. May have punched himself a ticket to a title shot just now. As we move on to our next match, as we go over to the break screen. And speaking of Chris Danger, we now have Chris Danger versus Buddy Murphy, one half of the Disciples, the former tag team champions, that is. Now, Chris Danger, the last time we heard from him was obviously in a match for the RCW Carnage title against Darby Allin, where he came up short in an Iron Man match. And now, but one of the matches that he was in not too long ago was a match with him and Big Nasty Bubba Blackwell against Young Sin and Jason Outlaw, and Chris Danger had missed the pin breakup for Big Nasty, which cost them the match. Now, I don't know how Big Nasty feels about that. He cannot be very happy about that, but Chris Danger can't worry about it. He's got to worry about Buddy Murphy, the task at hand, and that is the Disciple in Buddy Murphy. Mind you, Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, the Messiah of Wrestling, is not at ringside with him. So maybe there's a couple of problems going on between them. I don't like to insinuate things, but I think there may be. As we get onto this match here, Chris Danger and Buddy Murphy. Here we go. As now it is Chris Danger coming out here. The internet darling of professional wrestling, been all over the place. Chris Danger joining us in Season 3 of RCW, and his deal, if you were a pro wrestler in any company you want and you debuted winning as many titles in your first year, then years after that, you're just a mid-carder, barely winning any match, how would you feel? Honestly, basically how everybody feels in WWE. I would feel very, very upset. Because, you know, yeah, I would be grateful for the time that I had winning all those titles. But just to be tossed to the side after, especially if I did well for the company, especially if I did well for the company, I would be really upset. Like, if I was, like, a big draw for the company, like, kind of like how Brock Lesnar is for WWE, you know, I would be upset about it. I would really be upset. But here's the thing, though. It's all about how a wrestling company books you. And here's the thing that I feel like AEW does right, in my opinion. And that is, no matter if you are in a championship storyline or not, I feel like AEW still finds a way to make you care about those wrestlers that aren't in a championship storyline. Whereas WWE, if you're not in a big storyline, people forget about you and people don't care about you anymore. Think of it like EC3, for example. Nobody gave a shit about that guy, you know, and now he's in Impact now again. And Eric Young is in Impact, and now he's the world champion now for the second time in his career. And I love Eric Young, and I'm very, very happy for him. Very, very happy for him, and I hope that he, you know, but to answer your question, yeah, I would feel very, very crappy, and I would be like, why, what happened? Am I doing something wrong here? Is like, I understand that everybody deserves equal opportunity, and I understand that like, there are some people who get over pushed and stuff like that, but to have, like, a really big first year, and then for every other year after that, Tommaso Ciampa is in NXT. And what is this here? Chris Danger is looking down the entrance rampway. It's Big Nasty! Big Nasty Picking up Chris Danger for the nasty ending. A nasty ending. Both men are down. Referee should be counting this, but I would say as long as Ciampa stays in NXT, he's fine. The minute that he goes to frickin' the main roster is when it's gonna crap the bed. Because NXT is great. You know, and that's what I was scared about with Keith Lee, you know, was that, you know, once he debuted on the main roster, I was like, okay, they're gonna destroy this dude. Like, they're gonna frickin' destroy him, and it's gonna be horrible. But I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but... Super kick right to the face of Buddy Murphy. And a German there. Straight jacket German suplex there. To Buddy Murphy. But the two companies that I would love to work for, besides the indie companies here, locally, is Impact. Because I know a guy that works there. I know that he loves working there. There's so many pieces of talent that I would love to work with. Same in AEW. I would love to work with so many of those guys there. In fact, I even like tweeted out something, I think, a while back, where I said if I was in like AEW, I would love to work with Lance Archer, who I watched a lot of in New Japan. And I absolutely love Lance Archer for multiple reasons. One, he's just a really cool guy. Two, I've always loved his work in the ring, especially in New Japan. I love his work with Jake the Snake Roberts talking and being his manager, and Jake the Snake still got it on promos. You know, I just love him, and he's also a very religious man. And you know, I respect that. I respect a lot of that, you know, and I definitely would love to work with him. And you know, I tweeted that out and I tagged him in it. And I said, I watched you a lot in New Japan, and you know, I think you're very talented. I think that you're gonna be, you know, something big in AEW one day. You know, because he was really awesome in New Japan, and I really hope that they can do something for him in AEW that makes him as a big of a draw as he was in New Japan. And you know, just knowing that he liked it was pretty cool, because I thought it was pretty cool, because not every wrestler, you know, likes the tweets that you posted. And I was saying, yeah, I made another tweet out like a couple months back where I said I wanted to work for Impact because how much they care for their talent, especially their women's division. Their Knockouts division, to me, they have the best women's division in professional wrestling right now. Like, other than NXT's women's division. You know, I feel like the storylines that they have for women on Impact, and with Deonna Purrazzo in Impact, she's doing she's having a blast there as champion, and I think she's doing very well there. And I would love to work with her. I would love to work with Rosemary. I would love to work with Rosemary more than anybody else in the wrestling industry. Because I've had so many cool interactions with her. I've talked to Rosemary multiple times. She's an absolute sweetheart. She's very gifted at what she does. She's helped me a lot with my promos for Brian Outlaw. We've done improv together where, you know, I'm just shooting the shit. And, you know, she's helped me so much as a person that wants to be in the wrestling industry. And I thank her so much for that. As Chris Danger is looking to tune up the band here with a sweet chin music here onto Buddy Murphy. And this may be a message here to Big Nasty here, as we got a count of 2 and a kick out of 2.5 here. But there are tons of people on the independent scene that I would have the pleasure of working with. As Chris Danger now looking to hook up A taste of danger right to the face of Buddy Murphy. 1, 2. No! Buddy Murphy kicked out at 2.5. Buddy Murphy is still very much in this here. As a springboard moonsault to Buddy Murphy here. Again, his leader, Seth Rollins, is not out here. But nonetheless, he's trying very hard here to defeat Chris Danger. It's Chris Danger bleeding profusely on the forehead here. And that knee right to the back, and I think he's going to deliver another knee to the back of Chris Danger. Now what's he going for here? Dropping him down face first is Buddy Murphy. 1, 2, 3, and Buddy Murphy, just like that, able to come back and defeat Chris Danger. Maybe Big Nasty got in his head there. And Buddy Murphy, without his disciple, gets possibly the biggest win of his career. As we move on to our next match here, as we go over to the break screen again. And speaking of Tommaso Ciampa, we have a mystery opponent for him tonight. Somebody making their return after a long time away. And we will see just exactly what that entails here. In just a few moments, as we have Tommaso Ciampa versus a mystery opponent that is returning here tonight. Some may call this match a dream match, and I say it is. And you guys will find out who it... Am I just foreshadowing the next person in the next match? Depends on who you think it is. It depends on who you think it is. Now let's get this match underway, folks, as we have a mystery opponent here versus Ciampa. Here we go. Oh my! It is CM Punk! CM Punk making his long-awaited return to RCW. It's been some time since we've seen CM Punk. The cult of personality, the best in the world, CM Punk. No, I mentioned Chris Danger, and the next match had him in it, and I mentioned Tommaso Ciampa, and he was... Yeah, well, maybe lucky guess. CM Punk making his long-awaited return to RCW. The best in the world, CM Punk is here, and he is back. If only, that's for sure. If only. As Tommaso Ciampa. Well, he can return to wrestling, he just doesn't want to. Let's see if we're back. I've been experiencing that exact issue where we, Yeah, Twitch servers have been absolutely terrible. Twitch servers have just been bad. For whatever reason. They have been bad. And I don't know why. But, you know, nonetheless, we are back, at least. Hopefully. Twitch servers definitely need to be fixed. That's one of the things that Twitch needs to figure out how to fix them, because it's getting ridiculous. Which is okay. We've had this issue before. It's on Twitch's end, it's not on mine, because I had no drop frames or anything. So it could just be Twitch's issue. As Punk with the leg drop here on Ciampa, and Punk definitely making his presence known here in his return. I just want to make sure that it's all working for y'all guys, for you guys. I apologize for that. Like, I've had problems with that before where it's disconnected like that. As Ciampa working away here on CM Punk. And now Ciampa with a German suplex to CM Punk here. Is he best in the world now? Gets a knee right to the face. Count of 5 here. Now Ciampa throws Punk back in the ring. Oh, he allowed Punk too much time and a DDT right on the Ciampa. 1 and a kick out. He allowed Punk way too much time to recuperate there. Oh, but now Ciampa with the right hand. And now Ciampa, another right hand here to Punk. And another German suplex. Rolls through into another one. And he might be going for the trifecta here. And another German suplex onto Punk. And he tried for those double knees now, but that didn't help him there as Punk got out of the way. And now Punk with the enziguri. Punk with the enziguri here. And now Punk ascending to the top rope. Looking for that signature elbow drop. Right to the chest of Ciampa. 1, 2, and Ciampa kicked out at 2.5. Ciampa had kicked out at 2.5. This is not even our main event. And Ciampa is in trouble here for the first time in this match. Lifts him up here. Punk with a GTS. They go to sleep on Ciampa. 1, 2, and Ciampa kicked out of the GTS. Ciampa kicked out of the GTS, and Ciampa is still very much in this right now. And now Ciampa drops Punk on his knee there. The knee right to the midsection. And now Ciampa needs to find a way back in this right now. Ciampa allowed way too much time for Punk to get back in. Now Ciampa with the right to the eyes. Referee didn't see that. Punk turns around though because Ciampa tired himself out. And now Ciampa gets met with a suplex. And now Punk. Punk now, oh, tried for an Insta-Guri again. But Ciampa moved out of the way. Ciampa throwing Punk to the outside. Oh, and what a move there off of the apron. As Punk's face went off of the apron. Now a reversal and now just throwing Ciampa towards the entrance rampway. And the best in the world continues to gloat here. Count at 12. 13 as Ciampa finally finds a way back in the ring. And Punk gave Ciampa too much time, but a reversal. Oh, and tried for a knee strike. No knee strike today. And now a pile driver right on to the canvas. 1, 2. And Ciampa kicked out. Ciampa kicked out of that pile driver. And now Ciampa trying to fire back. Punk firing back with a chop of his own. Right hand to Punk. Ciampa with a DDT onto Punk now. Now going right for the pin now. Just a count of 1 there. Punk kicked out. Oh, and a couple of knees. Right to the ribs there. As now Ciampa's looking for it. He's looking for that knee strike right to the side of the head. 1, 2. To spoil the return of Punk, and Punk kicked out. I swear, sometimes I can't stand Twitch and their servers because I wasn't dropping any frames at all. And I just randomly got disconnected, but don't worry, guys. That is okay. That happens sometimes. I'm just glad it didn't happen when we had a match going here. As Ciampa now launches CM Punk to the outside with a suplex. This is awesome, and I have to agree with the crowd here. It is pretty damn awesome. As both men are finally back in the ring here, Ciampa Ciampa in trouble here. And another pile driver. But Ciampa very wise, rolling out to the outside. But Punk's not going to let him rest. And he takes out Ciampa on the outside now. Oh, but Ciampa with a reversal on the outside. Ciampa with a reversal on the outside. Oh, and right on the apron again goes CM Punk face first. And now back first into the apron. But CM Punk now moves. Oh, Punk tried for a huge lariat there. Ended up meeting canvas. And now right when he gets back into the ring, a GTS. And go to sleep on Ciampa again. 1, 2, 3, and CM Punk is victorious here. CM Punk is victorious in his return. The best in the world. CM Punk. CM Punk, the best in the world, is victorious here as we move on to our main event of the evening. Here we go. As I sincerely apologize for the disconnect there. Like I said, I have no control over that. I experienced no drop frames there, so it was on Twitch's end, not on mine. As we have Kenny Omega versus KO and Kevin Owens. Now, Kevin Owens very upset and reasonably so, as he thought that he was going to be RCW World Champion walking into tonight after he cashed in the men's lottery case. But like I mentioned earlier, Kevin Owens is not the rightful winner, so that title was given back to Brian Outlaw until somebody takes it from him the right way. I mean, it would have worked if Ricochet had the case originally because he was the rightful winner. But because Kevin Owens stole it, and he's not the rightful winner, Kevin Owens did not earn that title shot. So it will be Kenny Omega versus Kevin Owens in our main event. Here we go. And now we have Kenny Omega making his way out here. The best bout machine in Kenny Omega. Is ready. And Kenny Omega is more ready than ever for this man. Kevin Owens. fight Owens' fight, and he's gonna fight anybody, including Kenny Omega. And he's got to be pretty pissed off tonight as Kevin Owens thought he could win the RCW World Championship in the cheapest way possible by stealing, legit stealing, somebody else's rightful opportunity and taking it for his own personal greed. Keep in mind, Brian Outlaw and Kevin Owens already faced off one-on-one before that false cash-in, and Kevin Owens came up short. So I don't know what he thought. Maybe he could catch Brian off guard, and indeed he did. But because of the circumstances, Kevin Owens is not the rightful winner, which makes him not the rightful champion as we get this match underway, and a V-trigger knee strike right to Kevin Owens. But I think, I think it's out of jealousy. I think, he is mad that Ricochet got the title shot, and he's mad that he came up short in that men's lottery case ladder match, because Kevin Owens was in that match. So Kevin Owens could have very easily earned a title shot just like everyone else in that match, but Ricochet just happened to be that guy that night. And a Samoa drop to Kenny Omega, and it makes me wonder, how much or how far is Kevin Owens willing to go before he gets, another title opportunity? I said you have to earn your title opportunities here. Whether that is winning the lottery case or, beating the champion in a non-title contest. You have to earn your opportunities here, and Ricochet did. And just to see that stripped and taken away from him like that, in that manner, that is very pathetic on Kevin Owens' part. Very pathetic, very unprofessional. And that shows you what kind of man Kevin Owens is. He doesn't care, doesn't give a damn. He just wants to have everything for himself. And granted, that is a good mindset because there's no friends when you're getting to the top of the mountain. However, stealing somebody else's opportunity and, committing the crime of theft to get your way, you're stooping to a level that you shouldn't stoop to. I expected more from Kevin Owens. And granted, we will hear from Brian Outlaw next episode on that fact. We will hear from him next episode on that fact as Kevin Owens gets dropped right on the head, right on the knee of Kenny Omega. And a kick out at 2. But we will hear from Brian Outlaw on the actions of Kevin Owens. Despite his title being rightfully given back to him, we will hear the actions, and maybe, just maybe, we will hear on the fate of Ricochet getting his title shot, because I said he still has that title shot. And maybe Brian Outlaw is nice enough to give him that title shot next episode if he so chooses. And both men are back and forth here. Both men going absolutely back and forth here. As Kenny Omega looking to do something dangerous here. I've seen him do this before. And the one-winged angel flies again. Taking down the prize fighter in Kevin Owens. The one-winged angel still flying. Once again, full throttle right onto Kevin Owens. As now he drags Kevin Owens right into the ring now. As now he drags Kevin Owens right in the middle of the ring here. Now going for the cover here. Referee in perfect position. 1, 2. And Kevin Owens kicked out. Kevin Owens desperately fighting. Fighting with all of his might here. As again he gets dropped. Right on the knee. And now Kenny Omega maybe going for it here. Maybe looking for the one-winged angel. But Kevin Owens fighting back out of it. He's fighting back. Panhandle, and he drops Kenny on the back of his knee there. And now Kevin Owens going after the head of Kenny Omega. Kevin Owens, looking to finish Kenny here with a pop-up powerbomb. 1. No! Kenny kicked out. Kenny kicked out. And he looked to go for the pop-up powerbomb again, but Kenny Omega reversed it. And these two are still fighting back and forth. Again catching the foot of Kevin Owens, spinning it around. Kick to the midsection. Another kick to the midsection. Another chop here. Both men going back and forth. Lifting him up here. Snapdragon suplex onto Kevin Owens. And the Best Bout Machine looking to end this real fast here. With the one-winged angel onto Kevin Owens. 1, 2, and Kevin Owens kicked out at 2.5. He kicked out of the one-winged angel once again. He kicked out of the one-winged angel. He couldn't hit it the first time, but he got it the second time. Now Kenny trying to get Kevin Owens to go to sleep. Have I figured out why Kevin Owens does the stunner as his finisher? No. I think maybe he wanted something new, and I know he has Stone Cold if he could use it beforehand. So, but I don't mind him using the stunner as his finisher, to be honest. I sure do like heel Owens more than I like face Owens, but I love the little rivalry that he had with Seth Rollins at like WrestleMania. I thought that that spot where he went off the ramp and did the, what was it like, did like a flip senton thing was pretty dope. I thought that was pretty cool. And now that Aleister Black turned on Kevin Owens, I'm interested to see if they end up turning that into a rivalry, because I would love to see that. Kenny Omega now has thrown everything in his arsenal to Kevin Owens. I don't know how much more he can do, and oh my, drops Kevin Owens on his head there. And again, drops the knee right on the head of Kevin Owens. And now, Kenny Omega looking to end this with a one-winged angel, but Kevin Owens with a couple of elbows. He breaks out of it. And now Kevin Owens, package pile driver. Some type of variation there, but now look, he's going for maybe the pop-up powerbomb again. And look at it's the pop-up powerbomb. Right to Kenny Omega. 1, 2, 3, and Kevin Owens, just like that, able to defeat Kenny Omega. And he got a little bit of payback there. Maybe showing Brian Outlaw that I am in your wheelhouse. I am ready for another title shot. And Kevin Owens has defeated Kenny Omega in our main event of the evening, folks. Again, I apologize for that disconnect. How I will combat that is I have disconnection protection, but if it doesn't reconnect within 90 seconds, it ends the stream, turns that into, you know, a VOD. And then, so however many minutes this stream has been going, it'll be like a second part, so it'll be 2 VODs for whatever reason. So, I'll tell you what. Normally, I edit the streams and after they air, I download them through the video manager, through the VODs, and then I mush these videos together. Luckily, when the disconnect happened, we were just doing the entrances of the CM Punk and Ciampa match. So, you know, you didn't really miss any of the match because it reconnected itself after the match. That is not on me, by the way. That is on Twitch. I had no drop frames or anything on my end. So there was no reason why it should have disconnected. I've had those issues before where it has disconnected. And I know that I'm not the only one that has experienced those issues. A couple of my friends that have even better internet than I do have experienced disconnects, and Twitch servers have always been kind of funky and not what they should be. So I greatly apologize for that. So to combat that, I may start recording my streams at the same time that I'm streaming them, so that in the event that it disconnects, I still have the recording. So that you guys, you know, can have that. Just so that I can avoid having to download them and I have the recording. Because I'm getting sick of having the disconnection issues. Because if it disconnects, then the people who miss stuff on stream, you know, they'll just be able to catch all of it. In case that happens where it disconnects for a few seconds, they'll be able to catch all of it on my YouTube. So technically you won't really miss anything. You'll just have to go to my YouTube and watch the whole thing. But I greatly apologize for the disconnects. It is not my doing. It is Twitch on their end. You know, there's something going on. With the Twitch servers. So, I greatly apologize for that. On the other hand, to close out the show, here are some of the things that are happening, that are going to be happening within the near future. So we have Retromania Wrestling, which is a wrestling game that's going to be coming out for the Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch, and PC as well. We also have WWE 2K Battlegrounds, the arcade game, which I'll be playing that as a fun game to play around with friends. A couple of my friends are getting that game, and we're just going to be playing it, screwing around with each other. I would definitely like to try out the campaign mode that they have with the comic book and strip and everything else. I love the arcadey stuff. I know some people who don't. That is okay. But I hope whatever I do with it, you guys will bear with me. And I know that some of you guys like the RCW stuff more than anything else here on the channel. Is that it's been a staple here on all of my channels. Everything that I've made up to this point, including like YouTube content, like the Outlaw World Tour, and the My Career series, and everything else like that, that itself, all of that stuff wouldn't have been created if it weren't for the RCW series that you see here. So, you know, yes, there will be the Outlaw characters in WWE 2K Battlegrounds, as I know there is a creation suite, but it's not going to be as decked out as the 2K series, because it's an arcade game, guys. It's a totally different style of game. But I still want to have fun, and I still want to do something with it, you know? And it's a different wrestling game. And I'm just excited to have something else to play besides 2K19. I love the content that I've been making with 2K19. I love the RCW stuff. I love the Outlaw World Tour. I love the My Career stuff with Luna and Brian. I love the backstories of Luna Outlaw and Sky Outlaw, which you can catch on my website. If you enter the command web in chat, you can catch that on my website. I love everything that I've done. I'm loving all of this. It's sad that we're not gonna get a 2K title this year. But in terms of a sim game, but it's a good thing in a way because they can make it. Yeah, this is 2K19. They can make it better. No, this is not 20. 20 doesn't let you do entrances in Custom Arena. It's all messed up, so it crashes every time. This is 19. This isn't 20. I gave up on 20 a long time ago because of the connection issues and because of everything else that's having to deal with that game. So I moved back to 2K19. So maybe it looks better because I have different Elgato settings. So maybe the color correction and everything else just makes everything else look better. I don't know. But it'll be good to have a brand new wrestling game that just to have something else to experiment with. So I hope you guys bear with me, and I promise you guys, regardless if you don't like even if you don't like the arcadey stuff, and you're not gonna get Battlegrounds or whatever you feel about it, I hope that whatever content that I create with it is still fun to watch. There's ideas kind of flowing around. I doubt we're gonna have create an arena or anything like that. That extensive, but that would be cool to kind of just make a little tiny arena. Because if there is create a wrestler, there's got to be maybe it's not as extensive as the 2K series, as the sim titles where you create everything, but maybe they got to take advantage of some of the stuff of it being wacky and it being weird and kind of reminding me of the old wrestling games on PS2. There wasn't a lot of customization, but to me, customization's fun. I love doing this and everything else, but it's the gameplay and what you can do in the game that matters the most. Yeah, I love the customization of 2K19, but there are a lot of things in the sim title series where they can improve, and I really hope that they take advantage of having this year off to give us something amazing, or something at least better than what we got with 2K20, because they really set the bar low with 2K20. So hopefully, with some extra time to work on the game and all that, and I think the guy's name is Patrick. I can't remember his last name, but he's the director of creating the next sim title, and he's been listening to fans. He's been asking fans what they want directly on his Twitter account, and he was answering Reddit questions and stuff like that. He's reaching out and really letting people know that I hear you, that kind of thing, and knowing that he is the creative director and the mastermind behind the next title. I think I'm not gonna hype it up or anything like that, but it's nice to see that finally, it seems like one person, one of the most important people, is listening to us and as a content creator, I get it that the casual players aren't going to give two shits about a lot of the stuff that I want in a game. But me as a content creator, I want to use the game, every feature in it, to really see, like, what I can do with it. Can I push the boundaries? Can I, I don't know, climb the barricade and jump off of it? Can I don't know, can I, go to the top of a building and frickin' jump off of it? Will there be the WWE Thunderdome in... To be honest, I would love to see that in a frickin' video game. Like, no, like, that thing is cool. Imagine that thing in a frickin' video game. Like, I'll tell you some of the things right now. To close off this stream, I'll tell you some of the things right now that I would love to see in the next 2K Sim title. 1. Custom backstage area. Meaning that you can customize the logo that is on a TV. You can add your own logo there. You have a more open area instead of just a parking lot and everything else. You can go outside of the arena. Outside. Think about all the doors that they have in that area that aren't open. Maybe there's a boiler room that you can go in, like 2K20 had a boiler room thing. But maybe actually inside the arena, you can open up a door. Like, make it more interactive, you know what I mean? Like, the one thing that I'll never get... Yeah, here comes the pain, exactly. Like, make it something like that, where it's more interactive. Like, you can have everything in that game that is in here. There's no reason why it should be taken out. Like, that... I'm not... Like, nothing of the gameplay, like... You can still keep the simulation type gameplay, but it's a video game, for crying out loud. You should be able to, if I can see, I don't know, if I can see Bayley beat up Kairi Sane backstage and bash her head into this metal freaking thing, then I should be able to do it in the video game. If this is supposed to simulate what we see on WWE TV every week, then why can't we do half of the things that they do on the TV? The one thing I won't understand is this. When you're a champion, right? And you go through your entire entrance and you have the title around your waist, why does it disappear? Why isn't it put at the timekeeper's area? Why does it just disappear out of nowhere? Why can't I pick up the bell from the timekeeper's area, hit somebody in the head with it? Why can't I take my title from the timekeeper and use the title throughout the match instead of having to break out of my entrance, drop the title, and then beat the hell out of somebody with it? These are little things in the game. Why can't we do contract signings? Why can't we do those? Why can't we do contract signings? Things like that. It's the little things. This expression gets used a lot. Less is more. So, what I'm saying is, they don't need to do anything big to the game. They can just keep adding onto the features that are already into the game. The issue is they add these new features in the game. They end up breaking the game by adding these new features when they should just be essentially adding on to what's already there. Like, everybody wants GM mode, but Universe mode is GM mode. All you need to do is add the salary part of it, the draft part of it, and all the other stuff, and you can have an option to turn that on or off. If you don't want that part, you can have that option to turn it on or off. It's like that. But, I've made videos on it before, so definitely check out my YouTube. As I've made videos like that go into further detail of what I would want in a WWE 2K game. But I thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of RCW. I plan to have a lot more content for you guys. Create a story mode, exactly. I would love that. That's one of the things I would love in a mode. Or something where, you know, you can essentially something with the rivalries needs to be redone. Like, how about instead of 1-on-1 rivalries or 2-on-2 rivalries, you have rivalries with 4 or 5 people in them, like a faction, instead of just having 2-on-2. Because 2-on-2, that's a tag team. A faction is like 4 to 5 people. So, like, that would be interesting to add. You know, season mode, well, there's kind of a My Career mode, so that kind of ties into that. But maybe they could add different things to the My Career mode or whatever. I don't know. I never really cared for that mode anyway, but anyways, thank you guys for joining me for another episode of RCW. Again, let's keep this conversation going. You can join my Discord. Here, I'll type the link in for all of you. There's my Discord. You can join it. And we can continue this conversation on the WWE 2K games, what you guys want to see in a WWE 2K game. And again, I apologize for the disconnects. It's, again, out of my hands. But don't worry, I'll be taking these 2 halves of the video and smashing them together. So it'll be like you didn't miss a damn thing. But I'll be making some videos for today and getting those out to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much. My next stream should be Tuesday, but it may actually be Thursday. I may actually move it around a little bit because it'll give me more time. So I may actually move it around. But I'll let you guys know. But thank you guys so much for all you do. We're gonna keep this going. Kevin Owens is victorious against Kenny Omega, and he's gonna look for another title shot against Brian Outlaw. Will he get that? We'll find out sooner than later. And thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you guys on another stream. Thank you guys, and stay safe.